Next up, we have Exploring Ceramics on the Wheel with Wenona Parameswara.
Hi everyone, how are you doing this evening? Good? Yay, okay. Even if not, don't worry because that's about to change. As a senior, I know that my time here at Waldorf is coming to a close. When I was deciding what I wanted to do for my senior project, I knew I wanted to try something new before moving on to this next big chapter in my life. I decided on something creative since I don't really anticipate having another opportunity where I can really immerse myself in something artistic like this one presented in front of me. Now, I won't lie, I'm not usually very skilled when it comes to art, but I really wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone. In our school's past art blocks, I've found myself gravitating a lot more towards clay than painting, drawing, or stained glass. And since we had already worked with clay doing hand building in the past, I decided to try something new and landed on wheel throwing or pottery. So to start my project, in mid-September, I joined an 8-week wheel throwing course at a studio called Cafe Monet here in Austin. We would meet once a week for 2 months before I started going during my free time whenever I could to get practice in. This is where I met my mentor, Riley, who has supported me throughout this entire journey. She was the one who taught the course. The very first day that I had my first class, I went in feeling extremely confident because I have worked with clay before here at school, and honestly, how different could it be on the wheel than with your hands? I mean, it seems like the wheel's doing most of the work, so I thought it would be a breeze. I went in, and unfortunately, I was so wrong. Wheel throwing is a lot harder than it looks. It's not just about shaping clay, but really maintaining control of something that's constantly moving and wobbling around at a very quick rate. Not to mention that it takes a completely different set of skills than hand building, so my prior experience gave me absolutely no advantage during the process. Those first experiences were definitely humbling for me. As you can see on the screen, I'm not sure if you guys can make out what that is, but it's one collapsed attempt after another at throwing on the wheel. The clay would either fly off center, or I'd lose control of it halfway through and end up with a bunch of wonky lumps. I think the hardest part for me was pulling the walls up evenly, trying to make the piece thin enough without it just falling apart in my hands. And this is why, at the beginning, I ended up throwing away about 80% of what I made. If I had an idea in my mind of what I wanted a piece to look like, and while creating it didn't match that exactly, it was hard for me not to get discouraged. And you can see why. Here are some of the first pieces I've made. Very uneven, very patchy, and quite sloppy, but I promise it will get better. Over time, things started to click for me. I focused on smaller forms like cups and bowls, which were easier to control. Slowly, I started to build muscle memory and eye coordination, and my pieces became more consistent. One of the biggest changes I made was starting to feel the clay. Instead of fighting against it and forcing a shape too soon, I learned how to work with it. And I think that shift was really key for my progress. It made such a huge difference. Ceramics went from being very frustrating to actually being really rewarding and satisfying for me. So now I'm going to walk you through the basic process of throwing on the wheel while you watch this video of me. Before I play, just know that I had already wedged the clay, which is basically kneading it into the table to remove air bubbles. Then I formed it into a ball and slapped it onto the center of the wheel to begin throwing. So you can see that I'm first centering the clay. This is one of the most important steps because if the clay isn't stable, everything else from that point onwards will be off. You can see that I'm bringing the clay up, and then I'll push it back down. This is called coning, and it's done 3 times at the beginning of throwing a piece on the wheel. It helps center clay, remove air bubbles, and align clay particles so the piece is easier to work with. And you might notice that I'm dipping my hand into the water bucket a lot. This is because the surface of the piece needs to be nice and slick to reduce friction and dragging where the clay sticks to your hands. So after this, I'm going to push it back down, and the coning process is done. Next, I will drill a hole into the center with my fingers to create the base of the piece and then pull outwards. And after that, I will shape the walls, which is basically bringing all the clay that's at the bottom upwards to shape the height and thickness of the piece. This part can get a little wobbly as the clay can move off center, so it's really important to keep it as stable as possible, and sometimes if it's rocking too much, I'll hug the piece a little bit to recenter it. After the walls are more or less up, I will begin shaping the piece. For this one, I decided to make a small bowl, so you can see I'm widening out the silhouette and shaping it using different tools, a wooden rib, a rubber rib, and a sponge to smooth everything out. And after that, it's more or less done in terms of throwing. Since the piece was looking a little bland, I decided to add in a scalloped edge just for fun, spice up the bowl a little bit. The whole throwing process for this piece did not take much time, just 10 minutes and 2 seconds. So after that, I let it dry for a few hours, then trimmed the bottom and sent it to the kiln to be fired. Throughout my project, I experimented with 3 different types of clay: Buffalo Wallow, Cinco Blanco, and Cinco Rojo. They're from different areas of the earth, so obviously they're going to be different in terms of color, texture, and plasticity. You can see the Cinco Rojo to the right is a dark reddish-brown color. The Cinco Blanco to the left is white in color, and the Buffalo Wallow, the square at the bottom, is more of a sandy tan color. You guys might be able to see from down there, I'm not entirely sure, but the Buffalo Wallow has more of a bumpy texture to it. This is because it has the highest grog content, which is just larger particles in the clay. This helps clay hold its shape, and since Buffalo Wallow has more of it than the other two, it's often used for beginners starting out. And it may seem counterintuitive because the other 2 clays, Cinco Blanco and Cinco Rojo, are very different color-wise. In terms of texture, however, they're very similar. They're both a lot softer and smoother than the Buffalo Wallow, but this does make it easier to accidentally poke holes into. As I got more comfortable throwing, I also started experimenting with size. I threw larger pieces, both taller and wider, working my way up to throwing with 6 pounds of clay from 1 pound of clay. Though this might seem like not that much of a change, centering 6 pounds of clay is very difficult, trust me. The widest piece I was able to make was 12.7 inches, and the tallest piece was 10.5 inches. Okay, so now the fun part, decoration. As I got more confident with forms, I experimented with different methods of surface design. One method that I tried was underglaze, which is basically applying color to the clay before it has been finally glazed. Underglaze is made up of just pigmented clay, so it won't bleed or have a glossy surface. It's just used for designs and precise details. You can see with the dragonfly piece to the left, the design stayed virtually intact and it didn't bleed or anything. Glazing is another big part of the process. It's what gives the final piece its glossy finish and color after firing. It's made up of minerals and glass rather than the underglaze, which is just clay. You guys might remember using it in Miss DeVincent's class. It's a lot more runny and inconsistent compared to underglaze, but can be used to create really cool, unique designs when the glazes react with one another. You can see on some of the pieces on the screen, this reaction can come up as spirals, dots, strips, or flower-type patterns. Another detail I worked with was hand-built elements like lid pieces, designs, handles, decoration. This part of the project I really enjoyed because I felt like I could really personalize each piece in a unique way more than I could with glaze or underglaze. I remember the vase on the right in particular. I think it might be my favorite piece out of anything I've made, partly because of the way it turned out. It looks really unique, but also because of the memory I have associated with it. I came in after our Bamberger trip, a week in cabins, super exhausted and wiped out, not wanting to work on my senior project at all, but I had a massive boring vase that I needed to trim and decorate with no idea what I wanted to do with it at all. So I remember sitting there at the table for 10 minutes thinking about what inspiration I could possibly put on the piece, and that's when my mind drifted off to Bamberger with my class and all the different plants and organisms we saw at the ranch, covering tree stumps, rocks, and in the creek. And so that's where I drew inspiration for this vase. I really wanted to replicate this, sort of, putting different plants and nature-y looking things over it. I was really sucked into making all the pieces for this, slipping them, scoring them, attaching, glazing, everything. And the end result is a little weird, but I think that it looks pretty cool, and it was definitely fun to make and holds the memories of Bamberger with my class, which is very cool. Because I made so many things during my time working on this project, I couldn't fit it all into this slideshow because it's only a 15-minute slot, but I do have some highlights of things that I've made that I just want to share. To the left, I made a vase inspired by an octopus, I guess you could say, with the tentacles coming out over the top and then spilling down towards the sides. On the right, I made something that was inspired also by sea life, a coral or something you would find at the reef of an ocean. Here are some more pieces that I've made. To the left, the Coca-Cola can was pretty hard for me to create. Trying to get the lettering exactly like the one on the can was quite difficult, but here are the other pieces. Here are some more things that I've made, obviously. You can see that I really got into adding flowers to a lot of stuff. I just really like floral designs and elements. These were all done with underglaze, so you can see there's not much running going on in the designs. It stayed pretty intact. The plate on the far left was inspired by Greek mythology, with the designs resembling Greek art, I think, and the pomegranates in the middle inspired by Persephone and Hades' myth. These were also done with underglaze. There's an apple bowl on the left and a cup that I hope resembles a coconut shell towards the top. And lastly, here are some last pieces. At the top left, I made a lemon juicer with a little spout so I can juice the lemons and then pour it out for whatever I need. And on the right, this is what I was talking about earlier with glazes reacting with one another. You can see that a unique pattern has formed. Sometimes the pink shines through more, sometimes it's the white and the dark green, and I think that's pretty cool. So in reflection, I want to just share that this project has taught me so much, both in terms of technical skills and personal growth. In terms of skills, you can see that I've improved a lot. I went from barely being able to center clay to creating pieces that I'm genuinely very proud of. More than that, I would say that it helped shift my mindset, helping me learn patience, focus, and dedication. One of the most unexpected parts of this project for me was how easy it was to get sucked into working on a piece while working on a piece. There were days I remember spending over 5 hours at the studio, and it honestly didn't feel long at all. I think when you're really focused on something with lots of intention, care, and passion, everything else around you just fades away, which is why this project became really meditative and relaxing for me. Another thing is that there's something I found very grounding about molding a part of the earth. So, yeah. Over the 8-ish months that I was working on this project, I realized that not everything is that deep and it's okay not to be perfect at something, especially right at the start. So I'm glad that I stuck through with this project and kept working because having a creative outlet like this was so helpful for me and something I know I'll come back to after the project is over. In closing, I want to say thank you to all the people that have helped me during this process. First and foremost, my lovely mentor, Riley Jones. She has taught me so much and has always had a positive attitude no matter what stage of the process I was in. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here today since she's on her honeymoon, so I hope she's having fun. Well, okay. Next, my faculty sponsor, Profe Prince, for being there to steal my nerves during all the project check-ins. Thank you, Profe. My family for being super supportive during this entire thing, especially, I want to shout out my mom. I'm so sorry, hold on. And my dad, my mom complimented everything I made, even if it was genuinely butt ugly. She paid for my classes, and she even let me teach her how to throw on the wheel, which is something I'm going to remember for a long time. Oh, Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Nina and Kira, I also want to shout out you both for helping with all the stress and anxiety I had leading up to this project. I don't think I would have made it on this stage without you two. I love you both. Thank you. My class, because the last 12 years have been amazing with you. And I'm really going to remember all of you when we graduate. Costa Rica is going to be really fun, though. And lastly, thank the audience for listening and being here today. I'm so appreciative of you guys. With the support of all these amazing people, I've been able to really step outside of my comfort zone and discover a new appreciation for art in a way that I've never expected. So on that note, very lighthearted, tell me your questions. I would love to answer them. Chloe, yeah. I don't know. I haven't really considered it because I feel like you have to be very good to sell pieces, and I think that I need more work before I get there. Oh, thank you, Belle. Oh, Nina, yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. I don't think I would pursue a career in this because I think that the joy and passion I feel working on this would be gone if I had to deal with the stress of making a living off of it. But I definitely would keep this as a hobby for the future. Yes. Thank you. I was not involved in the firing process, so I don't know the kiln. I'm so sorry. Yes. Mistake? Oh. I would say probably, hold on. The orchid cup to the bottom left, I don't know if you guys can really tell, but the glaze for some reason came out super patchy on the sides of it. I don't know if you can see. I think that I really, really liked this cup and I put a lot of work into it. And even though the glaze came out not how I had planned, I think it just goes to show that no matter how much work you put in, a lot of things are just gonna throw you for a loop. So, yeah. Hiba, yeah. Probably the vase to the right. Yeah. Yes.
Is the point of the caterpillar, the very hungry caterpillar,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's going to keep the rich?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Yes, Alicia.
So I'm curious, the video that you showed us,
Sorry?
so the video that you had going,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
showed us,
Yeah.
so I was curious, including mistakes, how many had you done prior to that video?
Like the takes to film it.
How many, well, no, not takes, but how many pieces
Have I thrown at that point?
thrown, including maybe mistakes?
Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, okay. Mistakes, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I filmed this pretty recently because I only decided I wanted to do a video like a week ago. So, including mistakes, like 90, maybe? So, yeah. Thank you. Yes. Clay? Ooh, I would say the Cinco Blanco, the white one. I like the clays with the softer textures because you can get a smoother finish. I would say the white clay because I like the way the glaze looks on top of lighter clays, and also when I put underglaze on top, it's nicer to start with a lighter base color. So yeah. Yes.
You mentioned how you started with 1 pound of clay, but
Yeah.
you're using 6 pounds of clay because these larger pieces. What's your next goal that you want to do for yourself?
I would say at some point it would be great to throw 10 pounds just to get into the double digits. And something that I,
How big of a piece would that make if you were throwing 10 pounds of clay?
I have no clue. I'm so, like, I really don't know. Marcella, yeah. 62, I believe, yeah. Yes, Miss Jones. I would definitely be open to selling if anyone wants any, like, please take it off my hands. Please. Yes, we should, after, yeah. I do, yes. I'll just come to school late and come see you in your office, yes. Yes. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yes. Wait, which? Okay, it's yours. Yes. It's also yours. You can have it. Yes, Emmett. You have to credit me in the book that you write. Or name a character after me, then it's yours. Oh, yes. Ooh. I think, and dad and brother. I think that to dedicate a piece to her, since I've been working with her on, like, we've both done throwing together, I think it would be cool to make a piece together. So yet to come, I would say. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Oh, Jesus Christ. Dad? Yeah? Yeah. Thank you. Okay, yeah, that's funny. Great, okay. Ha ha ha. Funny, funny, funny. Okay. Yeah, of course.